You talk about Little Jimmy Dickens and your dad and
Uh-huh.
WSM and the Grand Ole Opry. Your parents would have been listening to that, and then you wind up with a song on this album, one of the two that you guys do, That's How I Was Raised, which talks about those very same things that you came from.
Oh, that's,
As you were
that
teenage
hits
boys
us
getting the
right,
band started.
right where we live. And it's very, I don't know who wrote the song. And,
Harold brought it to us, Harold Shedd, but
we never do that. I'm very proud of that. We never, when we like a song, we don't look, see who wrote it, who published it. We never have, never will. Just, you know, is this a song?
Do you listen to it by yourself and then have him listen to it by himself and you listen to it,
Everything.
Jeff, and then you come together and say, what do you think? How do you-
Everything. It's all, because it's just like, I don't know, music's like food for the soul. I mean, it really is, to hear something that, because I know, and we had listened to so many songs that, and I always tell people, don't try to figure out what we're going to record. And even back, you know, when we were roaring in the 80s, I mean, you know, don't try to figure out what we're going to do, because we'll do anything if it's something that's,
don't try to write for us.
yeah,
Yeah,
please
no.
don't do that.
Just write. If it's a good song, we're going to cut it.
I remember the guy that wrote High Cotton, one of the guys, he was heading back home, and they said, you're not going to believe this, but that song about cotton that you wrote is going to be Alabama's next single. And he said, I'm going to stay then. So I can't remember what his name was. Of course, like I said, I can't remember.
I was walking across the alley there from lunch one day, and this guy looked like a street walker. I should have realized later he was a songwriter. But he come walking towards me with his hands in his pocket, and I'm thinking, well, it's a guy fixing to shoot me. So he pulls out a CD and hands it to me and said, we just finished this, and I said, we think it could be a hit for Alabama. And I said, well, I'll listen to it. And I did it at lunch that day, and we were fixing to fly out, and I boarded the plane. Randy was sitting there, and I handed him the CD, and he put it in his little box and was listening to it. And about three-fourths of the way through it, he gave me a thumbs up. And it was called Born Country, and it was the #1 song for us later on. But you never know where those songs are going to come from.
And became the title of your autobiography.
Yeah.
I remember right after Tennessee River came out, some guy wrote you a song, had like 23 names, rivers in it or something like that.
Yeah, that's what Teddy's talking about. Don't try to write one for us. Yeah, one of the other funny things about Tennessee River is I had this idea about Jeff was just starting to play fiddle. So, boy, this would be a great thing. Write a song and have a breakdown on the end. Great crowd pleaser. People going to love it. We're playing in Greenville, South Carolina, and Jeff, we do the song. Jeff plays a fiddle, and we're all, you know, hyped up. This girl walks up the stage, and she asked Jeff, she said, where'd that damn song come from? And he's all excited. He said, that's the song that Randy wrote. We just learned it today. And she said, well, that's the worst damn song I ever heard in my life.
And you can't dance to it.
Yeah, you can't dance to it. So luckily she was wrong. But the expression on Jeff's face when she told him that, I mean, because he was, you know, just learning to play the fiddle, and he was sawing away, and we was all tore up. But that's just all those things go through your mind. I actually went through my mind when me and Jason was standing there looking at one another singing in the studios. Just think about, man, it's a long way from Greenville, South Carolina to here in the studio with Jason Aldean.
I'm glad y'all weren't around when Jeff first started playing fiddle.
I'm like a bagpipe player. I walk, try to get away from the noise.
He killed cats in 6 blocks of Myrtle Beach.
Well, they've sold over 73 million records in their career, and over 20 #1s, and 43 #1s, and 21 gold, platinum, or multi-platinum albums. So we're going to open it up to those of you here. Jimbo, why don't you go first, and I'm going to make a move over
He's
here
got
on
a
the other
sour
side.
look on his face. So that just kind of bothered me.
I was thinking, you know, some of these kids like Jason Aldean and some of these others have gotten some feedback from people when they put rap in the songs, and they've changed in country music. When you guys came in, what did Mr. Acuff, do you even remember what the reaction was to you by Mr. Acuff and some of the more staid members of the country music establishment? Because you guys had loud amplifiers and you had lights, and you guys did it differently.
We were renegades when we came along. I mean, it took a while for the industry, I think, to accept us, but
we didn't come in contact with anybody like that.
We came in through the back door when we first signed the record label. It wasn't in Nashville; it was in Texas, and we felt like we kind of came in through the back door. But the crowds were telling us that they liked our music. The audience was telling us that they liked our music. I remember they wanted us to. They had a guy, RCA had a guy come down from New York. His specialty was image, and so they took us out and bought us some nice, expensive leather outfit. They told me, said, "Teddy, we picture you in leather." I said, "Well, great." So they got me all this leather outfit on. I had this leather hat on, and we get about halfway through the show that night, and I'm sweating, and it's running down my crack, and I'm hot.
Ain't no place is running down.
And we walk, and they spent, I don't know, a couple of grand on this.
They had me with a vest on.
Oh yeah, they had each one of us. Oh, I'll see you this way, Randy. You look great this way. And we walked off the stage that night, and I've never been so mad and ill. And so as soon as I could get my clothes off, I threw them in the garbage can. Everybody else looked at me and said, "Well, shit, if you ain't wearing it, we ain't." So everybody went in the garbage can. The next night we was back out with our tennis shoes and our T-shirts on. But you got to be yourself, and we just felt like that. We had to be, with T-shirts, tennis shoes, long hair, we were as renegade as anybody else. I mean, but it's got to change. I mean, what do we think about today? You got to have new blood get in. You got to have new approaches get in. People with new ideals. But it's great. It keeps country going.
In Madison Square Garden, there's a policeman at the bottom of the steps, and we're standing there waiting on the thing. He said, "You boys are going to have to get out of the way now. The band will be here in a minute." I guess he was missing our sequins. And
one of the old promoters out there, a lot of people, George Moffitt. George promoted probably more shows, more county fairs and shows in the United States than anybody. But the first time we worked with George was standing there smoking his cigar, and he kept looking at his watch. It got 45 minutes before the show, and 30 minutes before the show, and about 15 minutes before the show. And he said, "Dale," said, "when the boys going to get dressed?" Dale said, "They are dressed." George said, "You're shitting me."
Two-part question here. With all of the talent there is in Nashville right now, especially, how did you come to choose or invite those people that were on the record now? And did they get to choose their own songs, or did you strongly suggest that some people do some things and others? That's
the simplest question we've ever been asked. It's so simple. I'm going to let Fletcher answer that question.
Well, I think it started with we started with a list of people that we like. I mean, that we loved, that we were fans of. We liked their music, and I think Fletcher, we had 25 or 30 artists that we had written down to start with, and
more like probably 40.
But anyway, we had a lot more artists than we did songs to start with. But anyway, as we found out.
No.
A lot more songs than we had artists. But from the time we started out, we were looking for somebody that had a connection to Alabama. Like I talked about with Jamie Johnson, said that when his dad bought him a guitar, the very first song he sat down and learned to play was "My Home's in Alabama." So I mean, I like the ties of we look for some stories there to go along with it. But just some of our favorite artists, that we got to hang out with. We did the concert for the tornado victims down in Birmingham, and got to meet some of these new acts coming on. That Luke and some of the guys came down and did the show with us, and but it's just friendship. Yes, ma'am.
So with that many hit songs still left in the can, and still a crop of new artists, is there any chance we'll have a volume 2?
Well, I don't know.
What'd she say?
She said any chance of volume 2.
Oh, I'm looking at volume 5.
I support that.
Box set.
The thing is, to me, about us, when I look at it, when I get back this way, is some of the album cuts that we were fortunate enough to write or record turned me on more than the #1 records, because there's some really, really neat songs. Honestly, I'm surprised that some people hadn't taken them. And one quick story, okay? Becky Hobbs she wrote Angels Among Us, and she'd written a song called I Want to Know You Before I Make Love to You. We had recorded that song, and I just knew that was a #1 record for us. So we're at an award show out here on where's the Opry, the big place, Opry House, I guess. Yeah. Conway Twitty standing behind me at this award show, and he leans over my shoulder. He's like, "Randy, what's going to happen to that song called I Want to Know You Before I Make Love to You?" And I said, "Conway, the record label don't believe in that song at all." And he said, "Good, I'm going to record it tomorrow, and it's going to be a #1 record for me." So I feel that way about a lot of the songs. I think there's a lot of depth in each album, and so I mean,
And there were some songs that I hated when I first heard them, but I liked them a lot better after they went #1.
That's kind of the way I rate them too.
I will tell you a true story about, was it She and I?
Yeah, that was.
She and I, Joe Galante said, "I guarantee you it's going to be a #1 record." Well, I said, "I'm going to guarantee you one thing. I'm going to go ahead and sing it as sorry and as as I can." And so I did, and it was still a #1 record.
And then he come up with Say I, which started off slow and went downhill from there.
Cookie won't let that one go.
He won't.
We won the vocal group in ACM, I think 13 or 14 years in a row. We go out there and do that song, they don't even mention us the next year. Had a line in, "Don't you hate when a friend goes Hollywood?" And then we was over after that.